Welcome to another episode of Movers and Makers, taking India Inc. forward, where we talk to leaders who are building, scaling, and transforming the backbones of our economy. When we think of brands that define the Indian household, Dabur is right at the top. But managing a legacy like that in 2026 means balancing two entirely different worlds: the deep rural heartlands and the lightning fast speed of quick commerce. I am Dimpal Bajwa, and today I have with me Samrat Sehgal, the Global Head of Supply Chain, Dabur. Hi Samrat, welcome to the show. Let me start with a stat that blew me away. Dabur reaches 6 million retail outlets across India. You talk about the local kirana stores in villages or the dark stores of Blinkit in Delhi. Very few supply chains in the world are asked to do that. So, how do you feel managing all of this?
It actually feels like running multiple businesses in the same supply chain. If you look at kirana basically rewards, consistent deliveries. It rewards availability. Whereas if we talk about quick commerce, it will be basically rewarding agility, and speed is basically key there. So both the supply chains have to be basically designed completely differently. So that's what we have done here. And the beauty is that over the period of last maybe 6 to 7 years, the changes which have happened in the customer's expectation, that have actually made the supply chains to also change themselves.
Right.
So that brings a lot of interest for people in the supply chain. So personally, for me, it has become very rewarding to basically work on these nuances, to design differential supply chain and ensure different set of consumers basically are given different flavor of supply chain. Ultimately, my responsibility is to make sure whatever happens in the back end, customer is agnostic to that. So he should not feel that there is any change in the way of delivery, etc. So that's what supply chain is supposed to do.
Great. Yeah. So here we particularly we focused on FMCG, but since you also had experience on the other side in pharma, also you've sort of spent a lot of years. How do you think the supply chains of these two industries are different, and what do you think each of these supply chains can learn from each other?
So I think when you think pharma, what comes to your mind is compliance. What comes to your mind is traceability. What also is important there is basically discipline. That those are the key things of a pharma supply chain. Right. FMCG, on the other hand, is all about agility. I think both the supply chains are learning from each other. Dabur has got a supply chain of not only FMCG, because we also have a lot of pharma products.
Right.
And if you look at my previous experience, the pharma company where I was working also had some very nice FMCG products. Oh. So both the supply chains are learning from each other. I think if pharma learns the agility from the FMCG supply chain, and FMCG learns discipline, traceability and compliance, which are going to be the things of future, right? The future consumer is definitely going to ask for all these three things. Compliance is going to be very important. Traceability, I think, not in future, but today also it has become very, very important. So both these supply chains are learning from each other and trying to imbibe the best of both.
So Dabur's supply chain, if you say, it starts at the farm, sourcing of herbs, natural ingredients, and seasoned crops. That is a completely different starting point for most of the FMCG companies. So what do you think makes this agricultural supply chain different from the industrial supply chain?
So while coming in the morning, weather impacted both of us, right?
It did, of course.
and agri supply chain is actually based on crop cycles, on weather and temperatures, rain. Whereas the industrial supply chain is agnostic to weather mostly, right? That's the biggest difference between the two. Okay. And for us, it is very important. While you cannot control weather, you cannot control the crop cycles, but you can actually connect with your vendors, and basically if you're agriculture based supply chain, then with the farmers, if you connect directly with them, with the producer itself, then you are able to reduce some of the noise in the supply chain, and it will improve your overall deliverables.
Quick commerce has forced every FMCG company to redesign their distribution. But Dabur was actually built for the kirana and not the dark store. How much of the supply chain did you have to rethink when the entire quick commerce came in?
I think that had to be completely changed because quick commerce, the demand signals can come to you very quickly.
Right.
The word quick commerce itself tells you that you'll be able to capture the demand signal very, very quickly. So that is, I think, the biggest difference. Plus, while the consumer's expectation is always to have the product available whenever he or she, goes to the kirana store, for example, their expectation in the past was also to have the product available. But here it is completely different because now the consumer actually is able to transfer money to you at a click of the button at the speed of light. Their expectation is also same. The product should arrive to them at the speed of light. So I think that's the biggest difference. And the way we had to basically change our supply chain was capture, analyze the demand signals faster, have a differential supply chain in terms of planning of the product itself, plus the replenishment policy also is completely different. So all these three aspects actually change as far as quick commerce is concerned.
So one follow-up question to that, Samrat. So while we are already talking about quick commerce and we want everything in the blink of an eye, what do you think of drone delivery? Do you think it's going to come in India anytime soon?
Anytime soon is, of course, not so soon as the expectation of the consumer is to have it in 20 minutes or 10 minutes.
Right.
But I think drone delivery is definitely going to be there. I think currently, and it happens with most of the technologies. I was actually watching, something yesterday, and on television, and in that particular series, what was shown was that Tata's actually got the first piece of a cellular phone somewhere almost 45-50 years back. And that time, people were amazed whether, this technology is going to become popular or, So I think what is important is all these technologies initially will be costlier.
Right.
They will be exclusive at that point of time. The difference in the technology, the tipping point will come when it becomes inclusive, which means costs have to come down. And I think the whole ecosystem which is available currently is not, drones do not become feasible in the current ecosystem. But what is for sure is that the ecosystem is going to get developed in future.
Right.
And we will definitely see drone deliveries happening. How soon, I think anybody's guess, but my guess is in the next 5 to 6 years in India, it will be commercially happening, I think.
So Dabur's growth is coming from rural India, 122,000 villages and still growing. Most supply chain investments, go to urban infrastructure. How do you build a world-class supply chain for a market that the infrastructure hasn't caught up to yet?
See, infrastructure will keep improving. That is for sure. In the last, 15, 20 years, we have seen a huge change in the way the infrastructure was in rural India also.
Right.
So I think that we are in the transitionary phase that is going to slowly keep developing. But I think the biggest challenge today is not infrastructure. Biggest challenge is that the rural India is also changing.
Right.
So for me, it's mainly about the demand signal. It is not so important how I'll make the product reach. What is more important for me is to understand what my consumer in the rural India wants, because their needs, their expectations are also changing today. So I think the biggest challenge is to be able to understand the consumer's requirement rather than, mode of delivery or, challenge of infra right now.
Okay. So since, you touched upon demand, what do you think of the blue whip effect? Have you ever gone wrong on, analyzing the demand? And is there a circular economy that goes into, Dabur's supply chain?
So I think bullwhip effect is something which, is absolutely happening every time there is a constraint in the supplies. Every time there is the demand surpasses the supply, bullwhip effect happens. We see that, There are multiple partners within the supply chain framework, and whenever the information gets passed from one to the other, there is an increase in the demand just because people try to build buffer because they are aware
Right.
that there is a shortage. So that is something which is a very natural phenomena. It keeps happening every now and then. But what we try to do is, in such scenarios, first of all, giving information and giving visibility is the most important thing. So from our side, from supply chain side, we try to give visibility on the availability so that people are not kept in dark.
Right.
So if there is a constraint which will be able to resolve within 2 weeks time, we transparently share it with everyone, so people are aware that for first 1 week constraints will be there. Second week onwards it will be removed. So when you are transparent with your partners, they also in turn try to reduce these buffers within the ask which they put up to us. And also when you try to reach the last partner in the supply chain and try to get the demand directly from them, you are able to reduce some of these layers, and then the bullwhip effect really reduces because of that. So we are able to control it that way.
Okay, every FMCG company says that AI at this point of time is a priority. What is it actually doing in your supply chain? And here I'm not just talking about the pilot, but the real deployment.
So I think couple of things I would like to say here. First of all, AI or any technology is as good as the input which you are able to provide.
Right.
And I think it will be all dependent on the the quality of data which it is ingesting. What is important to remember is two things. One is AI is not going to basically take over the job of a planner. It is only going to help the planner to reduce the errors or the mistakes, and also help the planner to basically be more agile, right? The speed will improve, accuracy of the decision making will improve. What I think is the next set of revolution in supply planning. We talk about industrial revolution. I think the supply chain revolution is something which will be the next wave will come because of the AI adoption itself. Your question of what is happening today, I think very limited execution of AI I am seeing at this point of time. While what we are doing is we are definitely experimenting, but right now the implementation is only mainly in the area of forecasting, where we try to basically use AI to improve the forecast accuracy for us. Right. That's the limited use which we have, but we are experimenting definitely in different areas.
We all have our net zero targets, and Dabur has also committed to net zero. But supply chain is one area where the emissions happen the most. What is the hardest part of making that commitment real on the ground?
See, the targets, the companies or individuals can take targets on their own.
Right.
But it will have to be delivered collectively. That is very important to remember. So I think until and unless the ecosystem is there to deliver on those targets, no company will be able to deliver it. The beauty is that with the country taking a target, the ecosystem is developing right now. Okay, I think the challenge, however, is that today the economics are not making sense. I come back to my original point that as soon as the ecosystem develops, the commercials will also make sense, and the companies will be able to progress faster.
Right.
At this point of time, the challenge is someone will have to invest, and then the whole ecosystem will take the benefit of that in future.
Right.
So we are actually trying to do that. We are trying to invest wherever is possible, and even though the economics may not make sense, but the company is making collectively, all functions are making plans to achieve their targets, and I think the whole economy, the whole ecosystem in future is going to take the benefit of that. Today the challenge is the economics do not make so much sense.
No, but I think Dabur is doing great work in this area. Okay, one final question. If you could fix one thing about India's supply chain ecosystem, and not just from Dabur's point of view, but industry-wide, what would it be?
So I will not talk about the normal challenges of infra or the the challenge in my mind is basically visibility. For supply chain, I think visibility is as important as the infra itself.
Absolutely.
Right? The information should always get delivered faster than the product. That is very important for me.
Right.
So what is happening today is that we have different uh, partners, customers. I think the challenge is not being able to have full visibility on a basically real time basis about their data. How the sales, how the offtakes are happening on a real time basis. That information not being available, I think, is the biggest challenge. So and the challenge is basically not so much about infra of data transfer not being available. It is more about trust.
Right.
So I think that challenge, if we are able to break, that challenge of trust, if we are able to break, and if transparent information flow happens amongst various partners within the supply chain, I think that is going to be the path breaker for the organizations. And I think quicker decision making and speed of delivery, everything is going to tremendously change if that happens.
So staying connected and being transparent is basically what I will draw from this response of yours. Thank you so much for joining me today, Samrat. Great interacting with you.
Thank you so much. And, I would like to comment again, very insightful questions because they actually made me think. Thank you very much, Dimpal.